Greetings from the CM Russell Museum once again. Executive Director Tom Figarelle here for another installment of the 2020 Art in Action Artist Showcase. As many of you know, the environment with COVID-19 has limited our ability to host any in-person event. That extends from our main Russell exhibition and sale, which has been occurring every March, to even a component of that called Art in Action. Both Art in Action and our main Russell Art Auction will be held this September 12th. But we're attempting to do our best to capture some of the energy and interaction of Art in Action. Many of you know that event is a traditional quick draw where artists have a certain period of time to finish a work of art while interacting with patrons. That is a fun event, and we obviously cannot recreate you being able to see an artist do their piece of work, their art, but we can try to recreate the interaction that many of you have enjoyed with the artists during this event. So through this dialogue, we'll have a series of questions to give you a sense of how artists are doing, their creative process, and what they're working on today. Art in Action and all of our education programming at the CM Russell Museum is sponsored by D.A. Davidson Companies. We appreciate D.A. Davidson for their support in helping us advance the art and soul of the American West. We're joined today by artist Mike Barlow. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Tom. Glad to be here.
Well, given everything that's going on in our world today, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. My family's fine. Obviously, it's been a challenge for everybody, and my heart goes out to everyone who has been negatively affected during this time. But as far as my family and I, we're doing well. It's been nice that I'm an artist. I get to work at home and be right here in my studio.
Well, that's good. Yeah, you certainly have your space there that you can work in safely and probably use as a little bit of a sanctuary during this time for sure.
Absolutely. It's been nice.
So Mike, when we think about Art in Action and that dynamic of trying to produce a work while interacting with patrons, I mean, there's a lot going on there. As an artist, what attracts you to that type of format?
It's a wonderful format. I guess the biggest part and the nicest part for me is just interacting with all the other artists and the clientele. It's been a long time since I've seen everybody, so a lot of times we're getting together after not seeing each other for more than a year or so. So seeing the other artists, seeing the clientele, meeting new people is always the best part.
You know, we've heard that a lot from artists and from patrons, that there is this homecoming element to both Art in Action and the Russell exhibition and sale as a whole, because it is this, you know, fellowship of Western art community coming together, sharing a few days, talking about great works of art, talking about the world, talking about the things that are inspiring them. So, you know, that is something that seems universal. I appreciate you, you know, continuing to just help reinforce that. And it's one of those things that, you know, we're all going to miss out on right now for sure. We'll make it that much sweeter when we see each other again.
That's exactly right. That's going to be 2 years, and next year we'll get together and it'll be a bigger celebration than ever.
Yeah, and that's the right word, a celebration for sure, Mike. Well, Mike, what are you working on right now? What pieces are kind of capturing your attention?
I'm working on a new challenging piece. I'm doing an Indian woman on horseback with a little baby on the back. This piece is called Looking for Him, and it's just an idea that I've had for a long time, and I'm really excited about this. It's definitely challenging, putting a human figure and an animal together, but I'm really looking forward to the fun product.
Well, I love that. There is a lot going on with that, and you know, to have you know, a baby in the mix too. I mean, that just adds a layer of kind of interest and a little bit of a story to that piece too.
It is. I think sometimes the best piece of art are the ones that do tell a story. So hopefully, when somebody sees this piece, they're going to connect in some way with the story.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And, you know, that is fun too, because then people can add maybe their own story, their own assumptions, and, you know, kind of the next chapters themselves as a buyer. So that's great. Mike, when you're taking an idea, you mentioned you've had that kind of that seed, that thought, you know, for some time. How do you evolve a concept? How do you take it from its inception to a completed work?
A lot of times, it's an idea that's been in my mind for years. And in this particular piece, I would have to say I've been thinking about doing this particular piece for about 15 years. I was in Bozeman one time, and I was in Tom Nygaard's gallery, and he had a beautiful Charlie Russell painting of an Indian woman on horseback. And I believe it was called In the Wake of the Buffalo Hunters.
Yep,
and it was
that's right.
a woman with her head up, and she was looking for the hunters. And I was just really inspired by that particular painting, but I wanted to add my own little twist to it. So I thought, well, let's just make the woman up on top of the horse, even looking further down the horizon, looking for him, whoever him is. And so I've been thinking about this piece for a long time. That painting definitely did inspire me. And now I'm just adding my own little twist to that story.
Well, that's fascinating. And I love the strong athletic pose that the woman has there. You know, do you find yourself getting inspired with some frequency by other artists and their work, whether they be historic pieces like from Russell or from contemporaries?
Definitely. And my favorite thing to do as far as being inspired is go to museums. I've been fortunate enough to go to some of the best museums in the world, from Russia and in Paris and London and New York. And I'm always inspired when I go to museums. And I love going up to Great Falls and seeing the great Charlie Russell paintings. When I get home, I'm ready to go and ready to get working.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Honestly, that was one of the things I was surprised by through these artist showcases. As we've been talking to art and action artists, there is this real common appreciation for seeing each other's work and how that can spark dialogue between artists as they're talking about approaches, as they're talking about mediums, and just sharing ideas. And that's one of those things that, as a non-artist, I would have never really put as much stock into. So I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's wonderful getting together with the other artists. And sometimes I look at an artist and think, that was a great idea. I wish I would have thought of that. But you can take an idea and then make it your own.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and that's the collegiality of Western art. It seems like there's just this real, collaborative sense that's just very positive and enriching for both artists, no doubt, but even for patrons and people that are seeing artists work together and challenge each other through their own production.
Yeah, it is a collaboration. It's wonderful seeing what the new artists are coming up with, but then again, studying what the old masters did.
That's right. That's right. Well, Mike, we greatly appreciate your time. We appreciate your participation in Art in Action and for being such a great friend to the C.M. Russell Museum.
You're very welcome, Tom. Thank you, and looking forward to seeing you next year, and looking forward to seeing how Art in Action does virtually this month.
We are as well. We are as well. Well, we want to thank you all for connecting with us today. We want to recognize once again D.A. Davidson Companies for supporting Art in Action and all education programming at the C.M. Russell Museum. And all of our artists have individual sponsors. KRTV here in Great Falls is the sponsor for Mark Barlow, and KRTV sponsorship benefits the C.M. Russell Museum. So, Mike, thanks again for all you do. Thank to all of you for watching this artist showcase. Take care.
Thank you, Tom.